Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
We're so pumped to talk with Pastor Andrew Momon. He's the lead pastor at Victory Church in Midtown. Mo, how are you?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. It's so good to be on with you guys today, and I'm excited about this conversation.
Now, before we started, you were talking about you loved our backgrounds. You don't have one, and you were, a little concerned, but you shouldn't be. You guys just moved into a new building. What's going on there?
Absolutely. So, after 3 years of my wife and I leading the campus here at Victory Midtown, we have now moved into our permanent location. So, Victory Midtown is actually 5 years old, and we came in about a year and a half, 2 years into that. And so, as we've been leading the campus, God has just, really been blessing. We've grown and expanded. And a quick story: it took us 37 buildings to find a permanent location
Wow.
over the 3 years that we were pastoring. And just the way God has strategically, made this happen is all a God story. But yeah, we're here. So I don't have all my furniture as far as like all my pictures and things that I will have, but we are at home, and it's so excited to see what God is doing since we've been here.
Awesome. Tell us about how you got into ministry. Give us a little history on Mo or Andrew, but you go by Mo, and we love that. So tell us how you got into this whole thing.
Absolutely. So I'm a firm believer that ministry, it shouldn't be these two competing things where you're one persona or one person in ministry and you're this other persona in your personal life. I really
Mhm.
believe they should be intertwined. I believe there should be transparency there, and I believe that both feed off each other and how you influence in those two realms. And so for me, my story of actually coming into ministry is when I graduated from college. I majored in sports management with a focus on facilities management. And
Mhm.
so I actually, my first job was running a 77,000 square foot athletic facility at my previous church at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church
Hmm.
in Lithonia, Georgia. And so
Mhm.
that was my first job, seeing all these things, helping to make that into a for profit center, a community center that people could come and enjoy and get memberships. And so fitness and lifestyle enhancements have always been a part of my life. And so I actually was over the athletic ministry. And so from there, I just continued to grow and do different things and get more plugged into the actual work of the ministry in the church and around those programs. And from there, I just took a trajectory where over the years, I started to grow in my leadership ability, started to grow in my awareness of what it meant to lead other people and lead through ministry. And then I kind of just became the chief ministry officer there. My last role at that church was the chief leadership officer, where I oversaw several of the ministries, the liaison between the ministries and the senior pastor. And then in transitioning over, it just allowed me to really come on this side to really be here as a lead pastor after being an associate pastor for so many years. And so I say all that just to say, my lifestyle, my being, who I am, actually opened the door for me to walk into the steps that I am in even today in this form of what we would call formal pastoral ministry.
Mhm.
We're talking with Pastor Mo. He is the lead pastor at Victory Church in Midtown, and we're excited for you, there with your building. I'm sure the staff and the congregation excited as well. 37 buildings now. How did you lead your congregation? Because 37 buildings, sometimes people get a little tired and weary. How'd you keep them? Just the vision in front of them saying, hey, God's got something for us. Let's just keep moving. How'd you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, you said something very key. How did you keep the vision in front of them? I think that was a key component. I'm a firm believer is that provision, the things that we do, it follows vision. And so, as long as you can keep people understanding the mission that you're about, we all understand. We've heard the statement that the church is not a building. The church,
Mhm.
it's the people who actually do the building of the kingdom. And yes, we do need physical locations and home base to actually be able to operate out of. But for us, what we wanted to do was to make sure we understood that we could still make impact even though we were in a temporary location. We were in a setup teardown situation, but it was, to be very honest, it was a very good situation. I've seen some really tough ones, but it still had a lot of wear and tear. We still had to make sure we set up things. We had to get there early, stay late. We couldn't really dig fully into the community that we wanted to be in. As a matter of fact, let me say it like this: I chose to kind of temper how much we dug into that particular community, because what I wanted to do was wait until we found where we would actually be established.
Yeah.
Because what
Right.
I don't like to do is to start something and not be able to finish it.
Yeah.
And so what we would do is we would partner with local organizations. We would still do a lot of local missions. We would still do partnerships with different organizations there. And so along the way, we just continue to just gospel, continue to build the people. Because what we believe here at Victory is really reflecting the Imago Dei, the image of God. And so that's more than a Sunday morning. When I preach on Sundays, I tell people all the time, hey, I'm not here just to preach to your Sunday morning self. I want to preach to the person that's going to actually need this on Wednesday at 3:37 p.m. and see how you're going to make this live out in your whole life. And so what we did is just continue to keep the vision in front of them, continue to understand that we're here to make an impact. We're here to serve people. And then the last phase that we did, it was a little tough sometimes because we got excited about a few places. We had some sketches. We would tell the people, hey, we think we found it. Then we had to say, they actually wanted to go a different direction. But right on this last trail, when we actually found this building, what we did before we moved in, when we knew everything was secure, when we knew we actually had a date when we would move in, I took about 5 weeks and just really reiterated the vision of Victory in the context of who we are as a local congregation. And so what I did is I called that Victory on the Move. And literally what we did is every week we took one of our 4 pillars that we're about here at Victory, which are building families, reconciling cultures, transforming communities, and impacting nations. And every week I talked about what does it look like for us to move into this new location and be an extension of that, because we don't just want to be a church that comes and just have services. And the only thing that we impact is the fact that people say, oh, they brought all this traffic. We want to be good neighbors to people. We want to be those who add value. And so in short, it was really just us making sure we kept the vision in front of people and making sure they understood why we were a church, not just to join together and congregate in the building, but to have impact outwardly.
Now, Mo, you talked about, you mentioned the 4 pillars, but talk about the heart of your congregation there at Midtown specifically, and the people that you have there. I mean, I think each church congregation probably has its own kind of personality and bent, but tell us about the heart there at Midtown.
Absolutely. I think it's a very unique situation we have here. As you just alluded to, Dan, we have 3 physical locations. And so we're the downtown, midtown location. And what you will find if you go to any of our campuses is that you will know you're at Victory. You'll absolutely know you're at Victory. But when you come into the Midtown campus, you'll also know you're in Midtown. There's just a little different flavor. There's some different things. We do have a more of a bend of a younger congregation here in Midtown, but we also have multi-generational representation. We have, people who are coming in and now starting to find out, hey, people are actually doing church in a substantive way in the city. And I say that very intentionally because if you know anything about church, those who are listening, it's a lot cheaper and a lot more economical to build buildings and build congregations in the suburbs and outside of the perimeter because of cost of living and things of that sort. But what happens with that, probably unintentionally, is you have a whole sector of people who are kind of left out of being able to receive the type of ministry that they need also. I really believe, and we believe here at Victory, that people shouldn't be punished because they have certain type of jobs, certain type of lifestyles, that they live in the city and have chosen to do that. And what we see here is we see those different ages. We see obviously a lot of different races, a lot of different ethnicities, but we do also see a lot of entertainers, influencers. We have young professionals, older professionals. So a lot of doctors, lawyers, a lot of tech people. We have rocket scientists serving in our middle school ministry. We have several pediatricians working in our children's ministry. It's just amazing to see how people are taking their professional lives and wanting to make sure that they're balancing that out with the things of the kingdom and really being able to submit that to the Lord.
I knew that it took a rocket science degree to understand middle schoolers. Now I know for sure.
It's confirmed. It's confirmed.
That's just the wisdom of God right there.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Pastor Mo is lead pastor, Victory Church, Midtown. All right, we got about a minute or so. What's coming up for Christmas for you guys? You doing anything special as a church? And then what about your family this Christmas?
Absolutely. So many great things loaded in that question. So, number one, we will be having 3 Christmas services on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve on the 24th, 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. Right here at the location. I'm sure you'll have the link to the address here at victoryatl.com/Midtown. And so we're excited about that. We actually do like a live production. It's not just, the music and then a preached sermon. It's an interactive production that is family friendly. It's actually very much structured for your entire family to come and for you to bring the unchurched to something that they maybe wouldn't come to a regular church service, but a lot of people will come on Easter and a lot of people will come on Christmas. So we're doing 3 services that day. And then an exciting thing, like you just asked me, family. I'm a new dad. So we
Hey,
have a
congratulations.
6-month-old. Thank you very much. We have a 6-month-old. He's recently started rolling over on, from the front to the back. So it's super exciting.
Yeah.
His name is Maximus, little baby boy.
I
My
love
wife,
that
Kendra,
name.
yes.
Maximus.
My
Yeah.
wife Kendra and I, it's our first child, and we're super blessed and excited. We've been married 10 years, and so this has been a promise that we've been waiting on, and really just been diligent in the things of the Lord, and just seeing how God has smiled upon us in this season. So we're excited to have his first Christmas, his first Christmas tree, all those type of things as we celebrate in this holiday.
Now, do you call him Max or do you call him Maximus?
So right now we're continuing to call him Maximus. Maximus. We want him to make sure he gets that down, make sure he really understands that. But we call him Max as well, and other people call him Max. But he'll go by both, I'm sure.
He'll be Max Mo before you know it.
That's right. My mom actually calls him that, so it's already working.
Now, Mo, if we come to see you there at Victory Midtown, will you work with us on making our arms as big as yours?
I know.
Those are some guns right there, dude.
I was going to say that earlier.
I absolutely will. And just it's a quick thing, just to let people know, again, I truly believe in the mind, body, and spirit. Even in my ministry, I'm always talking about the holistic man. I actually just released my latest book. It's the second book that I've written, my latest book back in June, called Leader Fit.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about leadership and talks about the fitness aspect of that and how you need both of those to endure in leadership for a long period of time. So short answer, yes, I can help you do that. I believe in making sure that we have that all covered.
Love it.
That's funny you bring that up. I noticed those guns, and I was going to say something earlier. I say, you need just a camera just for those.
Yeah.
Look at those things. Somebody moved Stone Mountain. They're right there on his arms.
Guys, you'll be surprised, though. I want to say this last thing. You'll be surprised, again, when we operate out of who we are, how God can use who you are to touch other people who are also looking for that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have so much representation of men here at Victory Midtown who are like, I want to get in shape. I want my whole lifestyle to represent the kingdom of God. And so I just don't want to leave this without saying, hey, you're always being watched. Everything you do, it's actually a part of your ministry, and never take that for granted.
Great words.
That's so good. Pastor Mo, lead pastor, Victory Church Midtown. We'd love to have you in February. If you're up for it, we'd love to have you back. You're a great guest, and we appreciate you, and we love what you guys are doing there. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.